Hello everyone. I hope you all are having a fabulous July. As you all know, I love summertime. And I know you're probably wondering, why is she not starting with Big Red today? Well, I just wanted to kind of give you a glimpse of how my white Thanksgiving cactus has grown this year. It's crazy. It's got all of these new segments on it. It normally blooms very well, but it normally doesn't grow this much. So I'm thinking that the sunroom back here, it's just thriving back here. Even in what I would consider one of the more low light sections of my sunroom, they're just doing really well back here. So this is going to be its new home. And I thought I would just go ahead and give you all a Thanksgiving cactus update in July. A lot of people watch my videos on Thanksgiving cacti in the wintertime. And then this time of the year, I get the same kind of question, because this is where, if you're not taking care of your Thanksgiving cactus, it's going to start getting kind of sad looking. Also, people are repotting still, which this one, oh my goodness, it needs to be repotted. I wished I'd already gotten to it, but I haven't. I'm hoping I do. I need to go and get some new pots, because the pots that I sent my husband to Lowe's to get that I thought would fit, they don't fit. They're barely bigger than these clear pots that I have them in. So I'm going to have to go back to Lowe's and look for the right size pots. Usually they need to be in a pot that's 1/3 of the diameter of the entire plant. And as you see, this thing it's large. It has really grown. Okay, so how am I taking care of my Thanksgiving cacti in July? And let me give you some tips. Normally, this time of the year, I'm watering twice a week, probably on more of an every 4 or 5 day schedule, but when they need it, they really need it, because as they're growing, they're requiring more water. As they require more water, they require more fertilizer. A lot of people don't fertilize theirs a lot, and if yours does well without a lot of fertilizer, then that's great. But I use the runoff fertilizer from my orchids on my Thanksgiving cacti, and they bloom like crazy in the winter. So I highly recommend fertilizing them throughout the summer months. It keeps the foliage nice and strong. You're not going to get any nutrient deficiencies. Do you see how this is just evenly green? This plant, when I first bought it, had like a reddish tinge to the leaves, and that means nutrient deficiency. Usually it means a magnesium deficiency, but if it's deficient in any way, it's not going to bloom as well for you. So if you'd like the recipe to my orchid fertilizer that I use on these, I will place that in the description box so that you all can have that. Also, you don't have to use an orchid fertilizer. You could use just a regular fertilizer on this, but just I would use it at like either quarter or half strength, because what I do is I fertilize this time of the year every single time I water them. Like I said, you're just going to see a huge difference in the overall health of your plant. Big question for this time of the year is, what do you repot? What kind of soil do you use when you repot? Okay, I use just regular old Miracle-Gro potting soil. I do not suggest you use a succulent potting soil. I know that they're available in grocery stores, but don't use that on these cacti. These are not a cactus in the regular sense of the word. These are from the tropical rainforests, like orchids are. So you're wanting to use something that does not have sand in it. If you put sand on a Thanksgiving cactus, it will kill it. It will just choke the roots. It won't let them have any air. And I've heard of several of them that just did not make it in a succulent mix at all. So just regular Miracle-Gro potting soil for potted plants, that's what I use and that's what I recommend. And here's Big Red. Can you all tell that I gave him a big time haircut? I think I probably reduced the size of this plant by about 1/3, and here he is. He's all grown back out again, and I think he's as big as when I cut him back because of all of the new segments. So he loves growing in front of this French door here in my sunroom. He gets morning sun and then dispersed sun throughout the rest of the day. So he just grows and grows and grows. Okay, so next question, and this is an important one. Several subscribers have said, I have dropped my plant. Can I separate my plant? Like separate it into 2 plants? You cannot do that. I'll tell you why. These do not grow from bulbs. These have a root system that is actually pretty string-like and delicate. And if you try to divide your plant in 2, or if it gets knocked over in little pieces, sometimes they'll root back and sometimes they won't. I've actually heard that usually they won't. If you're wanting to start a new plant, make sure you take cuttings. Now, what does that look like? Okay, you're going to take a piece of the plant. Now, do you see how this doesn't have any new growth off of it? So this would be a good place to trim back this plant. Okay, you're going to stick this down in water up to about the bottom half of this segment right here. And this is going to root for you in no time, in just water. So if for some reason your plant tips over and falls and breaks apart, you can actually take cuttings from it, start them in water, and you can have a very nice looking plant by winter time. But don't try to divide the plant into sections, because it just simply won't work. That's not how you propagate a Thanksgiving cactus properly. Another question that I'm asked very frequently is, my stems look very woody, almost like cork. Do you see how this looks? It looks exactly like cork. That is just a mature part of your plant. I have never tried to propagate a section down that low. I don't even know that it would. I would suggest you take just smaller cuttings, like the one that I just showed you, that I took off of it just now. You can even take 3 or 4 sections off of this, not a problem. But once it gets to this, this stage right here, I would leave this part alone, because I think that that is almost like a tree trunk. I can't imagine, I don't know if you could even saw through this. It is so fibrous and so tough. And it just shows you have a mature plant. It just shows you've had a plant with you for a long time that's been very happy with you for a long time. And that's an awesome thing. And another thing I always like to remind people is, don't let these set in water, especially if you're growing them outside and you have a tray underneath them. Be very, very careful. We've had a lot of rain here in East Tennessee these past few weeks. So if you've got one in a saucer, make sure that that water is running out of that saucer. Even indoors, make sure that as you're watering them more often, that the water is draining from their trays. Because if you leave them setting in water, it will rot the roots. Okay, and let's say that you have left it setting in water accidentally, and all of a sudden the plant just starts sagging because it looks waterlogged. Then what do? Again, you take cuttings from it just to make sure that you don't lose that plant. I've known people who have left them setting in water and it really damaged them a lot. They didn't give up on them though. They kept taking care of them well. They kept watering them and draining off the water. And I've heard that like in a year, if you are that patient, that they can rebound, but they won't bloom for you that year. So you just want to make sure from the get-go, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? So make sure that you're draining the water out of those pots. And if you all have any other questions that I have not gone over today in this video, feel free to leave them down in my comment section. I always enjoy hearing from you all so much, and I would love to say the blessing over you, your families, and your plants. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. You all make it a great day. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.